Okay, let's start with a deceptively simple question. What do real-time strategy games, point-and-click adventures, rhythm games, beat-em-ups, and arcade shooters all have in common? At first glance, you might think it's their popularity back in the day, but you'd be only partially correct. These genres weren't just popular, they were revolutionary. They were cutting-edge, profitable, and defined entire eras of gaming culture. Yet today, they are almost shadows of themselves. Shoot-em-ups and brawlers once ruled the arcades with blazing speed and flashing lights, only to vanish almost as quickly as home consoles and PCs dominated the market. Point-and-click adventures and real-time strategy games were titans of the late 1990s, commanding attention and loyalty from millions. And rhythm games? They exploded in the mid-1990s, growing from niche curiosities to cultural phenomena. But within a decade, they were gone, or at least more dead than disco ever was. This is the reality of video game genres, where once they were at the forefront of culture, now they're niche, commercially risky, and often only linger in the glow of nostalgia. But here's the twist. Not every genre from the same era died. Some survived, some thrived. Platformers and fighting games emerged around the same time as the extinct genres, yet they are still strong today. Survival games, despite sharing a lineage with rhythm games, exploded in popularity in the 2010s, while Guitar Hero controllers became relics of the past. This raises the question, why do some genres vanish while others persist, seemingly impervious to time? And even more intriguingly, why do some genres that had died suddenly return, roaring back into relevance? The answer isn't simple, but it is profoundly fascinating. The first thing to understand is that the survival of a genre isn't about whether it's inherently fun or creative. It's about adaptation, flexibility, and the ability to evolve. Video game genres are like living creatures. They are born, grow, mutate, evolve, and either thrive or fade away. They exist in a continuous cycle of experimentation, refinement, and reinvention. A genre begins as a raw, unrefined concept, borrowing ideas from existing games to form a loose collection of gameplay elements. Over time, it establishes rules, conventions, and identity, creating a foundation for later games to innovate, twist, or expand upon. This evolutionary process is rarely linear. It is chaotic, messy, and utterly fascinating. Let's talk about the first stage, pioneers. Pioneers are the ones who dare to take existing concepts and mutate them into something new. They are messy, experimental, and often overlooked. Without pioneers, genres never truly exist. They are just vague ideas floating in the ether. Take the original Metal Gear game. Hideo Kojima, the mastermind behind it, cites Pac-Man as a core influence. Who would have thought that a simple arcade maze game, where avoiding enemies is the core mechanic, could inspire the stealth genre? Kojima didn't just borrow mechanics, he reimagined them, slowing the pace, emphasizing timing and strategy, and creating a wholly new type of gameplay experience. Another modern example of a pioneer is early Minecraft mods like Industrial Craft and Buildcraft. These mods were modest attempts to automate aspects of Minecraft, but they unintentionally laid the groundwork for an entire new genre of factory-building games. These pioneering efforts were messy, often flawed, and rarely polished. But without them, genres like Factorio and the growing factory game community might never have existed. Pioneers take risks, experiment with the unknown, and lay the foundations for everything that comes after. Without pioneers, genres cannot survive. After pioneers come exemplars, the games that consolidate chaos into clarity. Exemplars take the rough ideas of pioneers and refine them into coherent templates that define the rules of the genre. They don't need to be the most popular games, but they must be influential. Street Fighter II defined the mechanics, combos, and strategies of fighting games. Super Metroid codified the essential elements of Metroidvania exploration. Civilization established the tech trees, turn-based strategies, and empire-building conventions of 4-time strategy games. And Slay the Spire defined deck-building roguelikes for a new generation. Exemplars serve as blueprints. They are the reference points against which future games are measured. Yet here's the danger: exemplars can stagnate a genre. When a game becomes too influential, it can suppress innovation. World of Warcraft's dominance in the MMO space is a perfect example. For years, WoW's success stifled creativity, leaving the genre stagnant until competition arrived in the form of Final Fantasy XIV. Souls-likes face a similar problem. Dark Souls defined the genre so definitively, that subsequent games often felt obliged to follow the same formula: dark fantasy settings, punishing difficulty, cryptic lore. Copycats aren't necessarily bad games, but they often fail to challenge the formula enough to keep the genre evolving, resulting in fatigue. And that's when twists occur. Twists are the rebellious children of established genres. They emerge when a genre has matured, when the rules are set, and a developer decides to challenge them. Survival games exemplify this stage perfectly. Early pioneers like Pathologic, Lost in Blue, and Unreal World experimented with survival mechanics. Minecraft became the exemplar, cementing open-world exploration, crafting, and player freedom as genre-defining elements. Now, new titles like Abiotic Factor twist the formula: linear progression, indoor environments, narrative focus, still recognizably survival games, yet boldly defying conventions. Twists often create new subgenres, or even entirely new genres. Diablo emerged as a twist on roguelike dungeon crawlers, emphasizing loot and combat over permadeath and procedural punishing. Paradox's historical simulation games twisted 4x strategy, replacing abstract strategy with nuanced simulations of historical events. Mashups are also twists. Braid combined platforming with puzzle mechanics. Overwatch fused shooters with MMO-style class systems. Hollow Knight blended Souls-like combat with Metroidvania exploration. Each twist introduces innovation, inspiring new pioneers, and perpetuating the cycle of evolution. This evolutionary rhythm explains why platformers and shooters endure. They are constantly reborn. First-person shooters evolve from Wolfenstein 3D to Half-Life, then to modern tactical shooters, cover-based shooters, hero shooters, and movement-focused boomer shooters. Platformers progressed from 2D levels to 3D collectathons, hybrid gimmick-focused platformers, and sandbox exploration led by Nintendo. Each reinvention preserves core mechanics while adapting to new audiences, ensuring longevity. Even dead genres often persist in spirit. Point-and-click adventures may have declined, but their emphasis on narrative lives on in branching adventure games. Rhythm games may have vanished, but rhythm-based action games carry their legacy forward. RTS games, though largely historical, survive in city-building simulations and MOBA-inspired games that trace their lineage to classic RTS mechanics. The medium is alive, constantly evolving, and nothing ever truly disappears. Let's examine some specific examples to bring this theory to life. Point-and-click adventures, often derided for tedious puzzles, have inspired modern narrative-driven games with branching paths and complex storytelling. Rhythm games like Guitar Hero may have faded, but their influence is seen in contemporary rhythm action titles that explore new gameplay forms, integrating music with mechanics in innovative ways. RTS games may have declined in mainstream popularity due to the overwhelming success of titles like StarCraft, yet elements of RTS survive in city-building and competitive strategy mods that reinvent core mechanics. The creative DNA of old genres continues to shape modern gaming. Another compelling illustration is the survival genre. Early pioneers explored survival mechanics experimentally, often in niche or obscure titles. Minecraft emerged as the exemplar, setting rules for crafting, resource management, and open-world exploration. Now, the genre is full of twists, subverting expectations, reimagining progression, and exploring narrative-driven survival experiences. Abiotic Factor, for instance, replaces Minecraft's open-world format with indoor environments and linear, story-based progression. This is a conscious subversion that respects the genre's rules while pushing its boundaries. The concept of genre evolution also explains the resurgence of dead genres. Metroidvanias and old-school CRPGs disappeared for over a decade, only to return with renewed vitality. Independent developers across the globe revitalized these genres, refining mechanics, introducing modern features, and re-establishing them as relevant in contemporary gaming culture. CRPGs, for example, returned with renewed focus on narrative, physics modeling, and dynamic battlefields, merging the essence of tabletop roots with modern gaming technology. This endless cycle of evolution, mutation, and reinvention is what makes video game genres fascinating. Genres don't simply die, they transform. Their ideas persist, inspire, and give birth to new pioneers, exemplars, and twists. The responsibility of players is to explore, support, and nurture these transformations. When a favorite genre seems to vanish, don't mourn. It is likely incubating its next great evolution somewhere unseen, waiting to re-emerge in a new, exciting form. Take platformers and shooters again. These genres endure because they are continually reborn. FPS games evolve through multiple eras: classic shooters, cinematic shooters, streamlined console shooters, tactical shooters, and hero shooters. platformers progressed from 2D classics to 3D collectathons, hybrid gimmick-focused designs, and expansive sandbox adventures. Even though the names remain constant, the games themselves are fundamentally different in gameplay, design, and player experience. The story of genres doesn't end with evolution, it is also a story of inspiration. Even if a genre seems dead, its core concepts persist. Point-and-click adventures live on in modern narrative games. Rhythm games inspire contemporary rhythm action mechanics. RTS games persist in city-building simulations and MOBAs. The old ideas are never truly gone. They are seeds for the next wave of creativity, waiting to be discovered, twisted, and reborn. Ultimately, video game genres are living, breathing ecosystems. They are born, they grow, they mutate, and sometimes they fade, only to rise again. Pioneers lay the groundwork. Exemplars refine it. Twists innovate, challenge, and subvert expectations. New genres emerge. Old ones return. And through it all, the medium thrives, evolves, and inspires. The key to survival in gaming is not rigid adherence to tradition. It's the capacity to change, adapt, and inspire the next wave of creators. So, the next time you mourn the death of a favorite genre, remember, its ideas are alive. Somewhere, a pioneering game, a clever twist, or a bold experiment is keeping its spirit alive. Genres never truly die. They evolve, they mutate, they inspire. And as players, fans, and enthusiasts, we are privileged witnesses to this never-ending cycle of creation and reinvention. If you enjoyed this exploration of the life, death, and resurrection of video game genres, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, support us on Patreon for premium content, and visit our website to stay up to date with everything happening in the gaming world. By joining our community, you'll be at the forefront of discovering new games, understanding the hidden evolution of genres, and witnessing the next great wave of innovation in gaming.